Hey, welcome back. So I'm doing a plant profile today, and this is Juliet. Juliet is a bush cherry. And what does that mean? It's a cherry that grows about the size of a bush. Pretty obvious, right? So it's an interesting thing that came out of the University of Saskatchewan. Hi Iris. This is my puppy. Its scientific genus, I think, is Prunus frucosa, and sour cherries are Prunus, I think, ceratosa. So they're in the same genus, same Prunus genus, but they're a lot smaller. So you can see here, the distance between the nodes is only maybe the width of my thumbnail here. Pretty small. They're very compact. They look just like a cherry. And they have basically the same requirements. They want to be in full sun. So I've planted them here in a location that's sun traces an angle this way. So they should get lots of sun. They're shaded a little bit by these birch trees, but it should be okay. And I believe this is maybe the third year for it. So it's finally starting to flower. And they look to be a little bit small compared to cherry flowers. I'll show you what a full-size cherry looks like in a minute. And these can be kept at about, I think, 4 to 6 feet tall. So ideally, you can just take a net if you need to and just throw it over top of this, so you can get the whole harvest, which is pretty cool. And the other interesting thing is that these make cherries that are full size. So even though it grows like a bush, it makes cherries that are standard size, which is really interesting. It's a very cool plant. So supposedly for its size, it should yield, I think it said online, like 20 pounds per bush, maybe more, which is quite a lot. And you can see, like, based on the flowering pattern here, it wants to produce quite a lot of cherries. So like each one of these nodes has like 3 or 4 buds on it. Here, I'll show you a regular sweet cherry now. Pardon the mess, my dogs have been going crazy. But this is a regular sweet cherry. And you can see the distance between the nodes here is quite a bit larger. Stems are quite a bit larger. Flowers are quite a bit larger. Well, not quite a bit. But the tree gets humongous. And this one's only a couple years old. That cherry tree back there, which is probably like 40 feet tall, I think, at this point, it's an older one. But how do you get the cherries way up here? And same thing with this one over here. How do you get the cherries that are 35, 40 feet in the air? I've been actually taking some of the branches and pruning them off and just dropping the whole branch. So not quite ideal. Definitely better with this little bush cherry. Like, if you can keep this at 5 feet tall and still get 40 pounds of cherries, hey, that's amazing. So, really cool plant. I'm excited to see this thing fruit this year. I believe it is self-pollinating, but I might be wrong about that. I'll have to check. And yeah, this is what Juliet looks like. There are a couple other ones in the, I think what the University of Saskatchewan is calling the Romance series. So there's Romeo, Juliet, and then I think Cupid? I don't know. They're named after some, I forget exactly what the naming scheme is, but like, very interesting plant. It also seems fairly disease resistant as well, which is nice. I've been noticing that the leaves on these things, they look nice, shiny, spot free, and that differs quite a bit from my regular sweet cherries, which seem to take a lot of damage. So I don't know specifically about the fungus resistance of this thing yet, because the sweet cherries seem to be susceptible to some like fungus here in the Northwest, because we get cold wet springs. And we'll have to see what happens with this one. But if it's resistant, like, this would be the thing to grow, you know? It's short, you get a lot of cherries, they're as sweet or sweeter than regular cherries, regular size. It has a lot of advantages. So very cool plant.